tawag na lahat po considered as with resource person pa na po.
Right. Opo. Ang nasa rules ninyo, witnesses lang po ang nag-o-oath.
Grabe.
Wala po kayong rules sa resource persons.
Ma'am, ano lang po yun eh. Yung term lang po yun eh. Pero considered as a resource person din po kayo eh.
Yes, sir. Resource persons nga po
Kayo,
nakalagay
witness
dito.
din po at saka resource person po.
Hindi nyo po sinabi na witness ako. Sinabi nyo po dito ngayon, resource persons. Ang nakalagay po sa rules ninyo, witness.
Comsec, ano po yung pinadala po ninyo?
Yun pong rules in aid of legislation.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
What is the point of order of the Honorable Congressman
This issue about
Makapagal?
Ayan na si Gloria to the rescue.
Ma'am, pakilakas lang po, hindi po marinig.
persons and accused has been taken up in previous legislative inquiries in aid of legislation. I want to quote a December 8, 2008 hearing in the Senate, where Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago had an opinion on a similar situation, but she quoted a Supreme Court ruling. So the Constitution provides that no person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. The Supreme Court has repeatedly emphasized that there is a difference between a mere witness and the accused. And it can appear from statements and privileged speeches that there is that a person who is the subject matter of an adverse privileged speech is not a mere witness or a mere person of interest, meaning a suspect. She is in fact accused of what seems to be a criminal case for violation of certain criminal laws, including malversation of public funds. And there is a case quoted in 2007, Standard Chartered Bank versus the Committee on Banks, where the court repeated the rule that an accused occupies a different tier of protection from an ordinary witness. So where the court said, Supreme Court said, whereas an ordinary witness may be compelled to take the witness stand and claim the privilege at each question requiring an incriminating answer is shot at him, an accused may altogether refuse to take the witness stand and refuse to answer any or all questions. So that has been and then there is a portion the court explained that the right of the accused against self-incrimination also applies to respondents in administrative investigations such as legislative inquiries in aid of legislation. So that is the point of order I am raising, and there is a Supreme Court ruling to this effect. Thank you, Mr.
With that, the chair declares 1 minute suspension. Recess.
Grabe ano? Ang tindi nung ang tindi nung kanina nung tinitignan ko to. Sabi ko mukhang napaghandaan nito kasi prior to this, maaga late naman pero dumating po. May nangyari na rin kasi mas maaga diyan. Pinuntahan ni Sara sina Gloria Arroyo, sina Marcoleta, 'di ba? Yung mga kaalyado, pinuntahan niya na. Tapos, siguro, ito lang, simple lang. I would say na mas napaghandaan ni Sara Duterte at ng mga kasama niya ito pong committee na to. I believe it is a motu proprio or proactive na hearing base doon sa isang privileged speech. Dahil nga, siguro mayroong nabuisit na sa ginagawa nila dun sa kanyang budget, ayaw niyang ma-scrutinize, di ba? At ito nga kanina hinamon niya pa. Makikita niyo rin dyan mamaya, hahamunin niya ang Kongreso na kung bigyan niyo ako ng budget o hindi. And this is not about in aid of legislation, but also um, finding fault to file an impeachment complaint against me. Yung ganun yung tema mamaya ni Sara dyan. Ay nako, grabe. Nagpapakita ng kabastusan talaga. Kasi naman din kasi kasalanan na rin po natin. Naniwala tayo dati sa style ng tatay niya na na yung angas, malasakit, yung mga ganun para sa bayan. Kaya hanggang ngayon, yun ang pinagmamalaki nila
Arroyo, may I know if may I be clarified if the tenor of your point of inquiry is referring to the sub judice case or rule?
Referring to the sub judice case, but it is saying that when a witness, in fact, is in reality the accused.
Ma'am, pakilakas po ng konti. Medyo hindi ko po...
What he's saying is that if by the nature, for instance, of the privileged speech, if the witness is not a mere witness, but the person being asked is not a mere witness or a mere person of interest, he is in fact the accused of what seems to be a case, including malversation of public funds. And the court repeated the rule that an accused occupies a different tier of protection from an ordinary witness. So from given what Miriam Defensor Santiago said and the Supreme Court ruling that she's quoting, we cannot we cannot just trivialize. Kasi you're just a witness. You're a witness. Pareho na rin yung witness, resource person. They are not the same. The Supreme Court says they are not the same. And somebody who appears to be the accused has a different tier of protection from a witness. And in fact, can refuse to take a witness stand.
Congressman Flores, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, this is an inquiry in aid of legislation and no one is technically accused of any wrongdoing here, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, look at the speech.
Ma'am,
Look at the
please,
speech, Mr.
ma'am,
Chair, the privilege.
please wait to be
Mr.
recognized.
Chair, may I request a
Wait,
1
I will-
minute
I will-
recess?
1 minute. 1 minute.
Thank
recess.
you.
Yun. Ito na yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina na gagawin nga ni Sara dyan ay iikot. So, ayun na nga, inikot niya na nga itong mga kaalyado niya. Siguro, ito na, this is it Nilapitan si Gloria Arroyo. Actually, we have a joke nga dyan na, ma'am, kung ayaw mong bumalik sa kulungan, pag naging presidente ako, tulungan mo ako ngayon, ha? Bahala ka sa amin. Ay, nako, grabe. Namusit na naman ito. Tapos, puntahan naman niya po dyan ay si, Marcoleta. Yan naman. Di ba? Ayan, Usap. Siguro sabi niya, hey, Kong, thank you ha. Binipens mo ako nung nakaraan. Mamaya, bawi ka uli. Ayan na.
Mr. Chair, yes. Mr. Chair,
Session resumes.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
You will be given the opportunity later,
Okay.
Madam Vice President.
Okay.
In any event, the point of the Honorable Arroyo is well taken. But we will proceed to the oath taking. If the Vice President refuse to take her oath, we will respect that. In the meantime, Comsec, please proceed with the oath taking of the other witnesses.
To all the other witnesses and or resource persons, please stand up and raise your right hand, inviting the DBM, the COA, and other staff from the Office of the Vice President, Your Honor. Okay. Please your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the statements
Ayaw
you
niya
will
talaga
give before this
nakaupo lang.
committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. The oath has been administered, Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Congressman Paduano.
of course, you have already ruled with regards to the point of the order being raised by the former President and now Representative of Pampanga, Madam Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. But still, there is also supposedly a pending manifestation being made by the members of this committee with regards to the point of order that was raised. So I think, Mr. Chairman, we have to hear first, but of course you have already ruled, but we have to also to hear the manifestation of the members of this honorable committee. And in that case, you have already recognized the good Congressman Kit Flores. And I think it's just proper to recognize him once again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Paduano. The Honorable Flores is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But I think the ruling was already made, Mr. Chair, and I will submit, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Paduano. We will now let us also discuss the administrative matters. But before we proceed, the chair would like to recognize the Honorable Bongalon of Ako Bicol, the Mr. Marvin Joshua Palitik of the Commission on Audit, State Auditor 3, Honorable Marlene Primicias Agabas, Deputy Majority Leader, 6th District, Pangasinan, the Honorable Margoleta of Sagip, Honorable Micaela Swansing, 1st District, Nueva Ecija, the Honorable Ricardo Cruz, Lone District, Taguig Pateros, and the Honorable Filimon Espares of Co-op NATCO. The COMSEC is directed to report to the committee who have invited and who have responded to the invitation.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have invited the Office of the President through email sent last September 13, 2024. However, we were informed that they use a different extension for their electronic mail. And then the Chief of Staff, Attorney Zulaika Lopez, Ms. Winnie G. Diego, Chief Public Assistance Division, Attorney Rosaline Sanchez, Director for Administrative and Financial Services, and Mr. Norman B. Baloro, Director of Operations Office, to whom the Satellite Office's report replied yesterday that through their executive assistant Nicole, that they will designate a representative from the central office. This is the same tenor of the replies from the satellite offices from Western Mindanao, Panay, and Negros Islands, BARMM, Caraga, Cebu, Bohol, and Siquijor Satellite Office, as well as Pangasinan. May I also note, Your Honors, that the Pangasinan Satellite Office has read our letter invitation sent on September 13. They have read it on September 14, 2024, which was on a Saturday at 3:22 p.m. because the email sent by the Secretariat has a read receipt function, Your Honor. Moving on, this was the same tenor as well from the Davao Satellite Office, Cagayan Valley Satellite Office, Bicol, and Eastern Visayas Satellite Office. Meanwhile, Your Honor, for the Commission on Audit, we have sent an invitation to Chairperson Gamaliel Cordoba, and Director of Legal Affairs, Daryl H. Tonolete, to whom we have forwarded the letter to Chairperson Cordoba. Assistant Commissioner Martha Rosana Sese was also sent an invitation on September 13. All of the resource persons were sent invitations on September 13. Director 4 for National Government Audit Sector Cluster, Sofia Hamhemora, Supervising Auditor Elvira De Vera, were sent invitations. However, there were no direct email confirmations, but they verbally confirmed their presence. They confirmed their presence of their representatives today. For the Department of Budget and Management, we sent invitation to Secretary Amena Pangandaman on September 13, USEC Janet Abuel, and as well USEC Functional Group Head Rolando U. Toledo. But this was for him, it was on September 16 as manifested by the Office of the Department of Budget and Management, and some of them are here. They are here today, Your Honor.
We will now proceed to before we proceed to the interpellation proper, the chair will recognize the Honorable Vice President for her message. Yes, ma'am. You are recognized, ma'am.
A message, sir, or my statement regarding the point of order. Message? Mga kababayan, ladies and gentlemen, assalamualaikum, warakmatullahi wa barakatuh. Madayaw, mayong adlaw, kaninyong tanan. Magandang araw sa
Gumiti pa pero mamumusit na yan.
The Office of the Vice President, as well as each and every one of our satellite office leads, were in receipt of a letter from the chairman of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability dated September 13, 2024, requesting our presence or that of our duly authorized representatives in today's initial deliberation with preliminary determination on privilege speech number 379. In view of the said letter, I am appearing before you today not only as the head of office, but more importantly as the duly authorized representative of all officials of the OVP. Simply because we have not done anything wrong. There is no misuse of funds. If there are audit findings, we shall gladly respond to them before the Commission on Audit. And if there are legitimate cases to be filed, then we shall gladly respond to them before the appropriate courts. In relation to this, may I just say that I take notice of the opening speeches and nasabi doon, there is a determination of misfeasance, nonfeasance, and malfeasance. And those are cases that should properly be taken in the courts of law. What we are witnessing now is no ordinary legislative inquiry. This exercise is a well-funded and coordinated political attack. This much is evident from the very words of the privileged speech that prompted this inquiry. A speech that simply meant to say, do not vote for Sara on 2028. It is clear to me that this inquiry is not about misused funds, accountability, or governance. Instead, it is solely aimed at discrediting my name and my office to prevent future political contests. I have publicly stated my reasons as to why I've chosen not to defend the OVP's budget proposal for 2025. I have narrated the issues I encountered in previous years, which can easily be confirmed by looking at the NEP, the GAB, and the GAA for fiscal years 2023 and 2024. Further, I have even shared the drama that transpired last year regarding the confidential funds. Hence, just as we have done last year, we again leave the 2025 OVP budget to the pleasure of Congressman Martin Romualdez. I am not asking for any special treatment, nor am I asking you to uphold any tradition. There is no disrespect. All I am saying is that you have the complete freedom to do whatever you wish with the OVP budget. If you feel that all the documentary submissions are not enough, then by all means, huwag kayo magbigay ng budget. Sa totoo lang, hindi naman ang budget ang puntirya ninyo. Dahil napakadali naman magtanggal ng budget. What you are trying to do is make a case for impeachment. Hindi naman ako kakandidato sa nalalapit na eleksyon. Hindi ako namumulitika. Ang ginagawa ko lamang ay ang pagtupad sa aking oath of office at campaign platforms na trabaho, edukasyon, at mapayapang pamumuhay. Sinabi ko na noon at ilang beses ko nang inulit na hindi ako ang problema ng bayan na ito. Ang totoong problema ng bayan ay kagutuman, kahirapan, illegal na droga, kriminalidad, terorismo, hindi na sapat na healthcare,
Walang
dagdag na
corruption.
edukasyon,
Walang corruption.
kawalan ng plano ng infrastruktura para sa disasters, at marami pang iba. So, you may try to destroy me, you can skin me alive,
Galit na galit
and
eh.
throw my ashes to the wind. But let it be known, you will find me unbowed. I will continue to serve the Filipino people no matter the personal cost or political intrigue. Having said that, I will not allow myself to be subjected to an inquiry based on an empty privilege speech just so you can attack me and do indirectly what you failed to do directly during the budget hearings. I therefore request this committee to terminate this inquiry for its clear lack of any proposed legislation or substantive matter for discussion. Shukran.
The committee cannot rule on that because the committee already took cognizance of this privilege speech. Anyway, we will now proceed. Next, we will recognize the representative from COA.
Mr. Chair,
Na si
By
Marcoleta.
Congressman Marcoleta.
May I please raise a parliamentary inquiry?
What is your parliamentary inquiry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The rules of the committee says that this committee only acquires jurisdiction on matters of nonfeasance, misfeasance, malfeasance. And under Section 2, Mr. Chair of the rules, there should be a prior determination whether or not these malfeasance, nonfeasance, and misfeasance are directly or specifically relating to the persons charged of this. Has this committee made a prior determination of this? And if so, when did it happen? And where is the order specifying that the committee has just reached a prior determination? This is very important, Mr. Chair, because the rules also says that after determining or making a prior determination, this committee will set an order, and that is the only way that this committee acquire jurisdiction over the person subject matter of this inquiry. And that particular order of prior determination will set out the parameters. If I can make a comparison, Mr. Chair, in regular court, it is called pre-trial order, where the parameters of the inquiry, the presentation of evidence or explanations or allegations are limited to that set of stipulation. So considering, Mr. Chair, and I assume that there is no prior determination, I do not think how we can start the meeting today because we are supposed to observe the rules. I'm referring to Section 2 of the rules of this committee, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. To answer that, Congressman Marcoleta,
Yung
we have
walk
already
yan.
ruled on the preliminary determination a while ago. Medyo na late na po kayo. Now, with respect to your inquiry, that if we can proceed with this, considering that this is an investigation of malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance, let me walk you through. Let me walk you through the definition of a good government and public accountability. It provides that all matters directly and principally relating to malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance in office committed by officers and employees of the government and its political subdivision and instrumentalities, inclusive of investigations of any matter of public interest on its own initiative or upon order of the House. For the information of everybody, the issue on confidential fund is a matter of public interest. Lahat po tayo ay interesado, hindi lamang po tayo, yung publiko po, interesado kung paano po ito nagamit. Kaya yun po ang dahilan why this committee has jurisdiction over the subject matter.
But Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
Congressman Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, under Section 5, there should be a record of preliminary determination. It says that the proceedings in the preliminary investigation or determination shall be recorded through stenographic notes. What you were mentioning are motu proprio cases. I am assuming that this committee started by way of a referral because of a privileged speech delivered on the floor by one of us. And so this is the main subject matter of this committee meeting, and to which we should first determine preliminarily whether or not this committee acquires jurisdiction. And I demand a record of preliminary determination under Section 5 because it says, upon termination thereof, Mr. Chair, the chairperson shall issue an order which shall recite in details the matters taken up. So what are the matters taken up, Mr. Chair? I think we should be able to comply with these elementary rules as specified in the governing rules.
Well, considering that we have yet to proceed to the interpellation, we are still in the period of recognizing the resource person as well as the witness. With that, the chair declares 1 minute suspension.
Okay. Napansin ko kanina ha, sabi ni Sara, wag na kayong magbigay ng budget. Diba? Alam niyo kung bakit? Tingnan niyo ha, ang budget na hinimay-himay ng Kongreso recently, ang natira po ay nasa from 2.3 billion, right? Naging 733.129 or 192 na lamang. So 733 million na lang ang natira. Sapagkat yung iba, mahigit 1 billion, mahigit 1.29 billion ang nawala po sa kanya. ay nilipat nila sa iba't ibang mga ahensya katulad ng DSWD at ng Department of Health. Kasi yung duplication na eh. Ngayon, kapag hindi po nagbigay ng budget, zero budget, technically, pabalik lang po ang budget ng OVP sa 2023 budget nila. So, alin ho ba ang mas malaki? Eh, ang nabalitaan ko, ang budget ng OVP ng 2023 ay nasa 1.8 billion pesos. Okay? Kasi request nila ron 2.3 something din yun eh. So nabawasan, di ba, tinanggal yung confidential funds, mga ganyan. Maraming na-slash. Ngayon, ang mas matinding slash kasi from 2.3 naging, naging 733 million pesos. Parang budget po close sa budget ni Leni Robredo noong 2022. Ganon. So makakapag-function pa rin naman ang OVP. Wala naman kasi sila talagang trabaho na itinadhana ng batas. So kung ano yung mga ginagawa nilang excess, ito ay additional cost to the government. Okay? Maliwanag yun. Ba't gagawa ng isang bagay na meron naman ng ibang gumagawa? Diba? And the best thing you can do is to get ready with yourself na gampanan ang trabaho ng iyong papalitan in case kailanganin ka. Diba? Ngayon, isipin nyo, napaka-tricky. Tawag nyo na akong bigyan ng pondo. Fine. Ang magiging pondo niya, instead of 733 million point 198, ay magiging 2023 budget, approved budget niya na 2 billion pa rin. 1.8 billion mahigit. O, di ba? Hanap na strategy. Alam niyo kasi na yung 733 na yan, pagka dumating na ng plenary yan, malamang sa malamang, yan pa rin ang maging figure niyan. Now, another story naman kapag sa Senado, di ba? Hindi naman kasi majority yung mga kaalyado nila. Ngayon, hiningi niya na i-terminate na yung pagdinig. Bakit? Kasi nga magkakaungkat-ungkatan nandyan po ang COA. Di ba? Yung mga ayaw niyang sagutin sa harapan ng pagmumukha ng OVP, nandiyan yung mga representatives niya At ito na po yung tawag dito, perfect timing sana para idepensa niya yung sarili niya. Tsaka isa pa, meron hong karapatan ang Kongreso na sila yung nag-a-approve ng budget, sila rin may karapatan na mag-scrutinize about the performance, how you spent the money. And after all, that's the people's money. Right? Isa pang bagay dito na napansin ko, yung ayaw niyang mag-take ng oath. Alam niyo ho ba na itong pagtitake ng oath, ito ay pag ginugol ninyo, sabi nga dyan it is a solemn, usually formal calling upon God, the real God, okay, to witness to the truth of what one says or to witness that one's sincerity instead to do what one says. Or it is a solemn attestation, buong kataimtiman, the truth or inviolability of one's words. The witness took an oath to tell the truth in court or maski dyan sa mga committee. Kasi nga, this is an investigation in aid of legislation and they're seeking for the truth. Di ba? And the chance for them to defend. Isipin mo, you are appealing before the Commission on Audit.
The Chair would like to
Diba?
recognize the Honorable Luistro Gerville of Batangas,
Patay.
2nd District.
Si District.
Honorable
Districts.
Paul Dasa, Senior Deputy Minority Leader of 1st District, Northern Samar. The Honorable Roel Daniel Manuel of the Kabataan Party List. The Chair, the committee would like to take note of the manifestation of the Honorable Marcoleta, but considering that the committee already took cognizance of the preliminary determination, we will proceed to the COA. COA, please. Sino po yung representative ng COA?
Good morning,
Yari.
Mr. Chair. Sa ating mga members of the committee, magandang umaga po. On behalf of the Commission on Audit, we do recognize the plenary power of the Congress
Ang taray.
asking questions relating to legislation And since the invitation only pertains to the budget utilization of the OBP, we can answer questions relating to that, Your Honor.
Ayos.
That would be all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We will now proceed to the next representative. Representative from DBM.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to all your honors. Yes, by the invitation of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability, we are here to provide information on the Office of the President's budget in the calendar year CY 2022 to 2024 budget utilization and performance, compliance with the GAA, including fund transfer and budget realignment, as well as the agency's program projects and activities, among others. So any inquiry we'll just answer during this congressional meeting, Mr. Chair. And if ever there's a need for us to provide data and information, we'll do so, Mr. Chair. So good morning.
Thank you. The chair is in receipt of the authority from the Committee on Rules with respect to the motu proprio inquiry on the manifestation of Representative Jinky Luistro during the budget hearing of the Department of Education in the Committee on Appropriation on September 10, 2024. But we will proceed with the preliminary determination later. In the meantime, we will proceed to the interpellation with respect to the privileged speech of Congressman Valeriano. Before we proceed, we will set rules. We will set certain rules or parameters. We will limit the interpellator to 5 minutes. Hindi po kasama yung sagot. And then, pwede po paki-silent po ang inyong mga telepono. Turn off nyo po or silent mode. And please observe proper decorum para hindi po tayo maging magulo at maging maayos lamang po. At lahat po yung mga gustong mag-interpolate, lapit lang po dito sa COMSEC at magpalista. Ang magiging sistema po natin, mauuna po ang minority and then the majority, minority, majority. Now, we will first recognize representative from the minority, the Honorable Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nagpapasalamat po ako sa committee na ito po na pinamumunuan po ninyo dahil in-schedule agad natin yung naging privilege speech ni Representative Valeriano. Alam niyo po, una pa sa lahat, ginigiit natin dito na ang tradisyon ay tradisyon. Pero una sa lahat, kung ang tradisyon ay bumabangga sa interes ng mga mamamayan, sa interes ng publiko, at accountability ng mga public officials, at saka pagiging transparent ng lahat ng ating mga ginagawa, lalong-lalo na po sa kaperahan o lalong-lalo po sa budget or whatever na pinagkatiwala po ng taong bayan sa atin, ay kailangan po yun yung nauuna. Kaya nagpapasalamat po ako na dahil ito po yung magsiset noong mga pwede nating magawa sa rules, mabago sa rules, pwede nating in aid of legislation, lalong-lalo na pinag-uusapan natin ang confidential funds and intelligence funds or confidential funds dito sa Office of the Vice President. At ito ay inaasahan ko na magsiset itong gagawin sa katapusan nitong hearing na ito, yung magsiset talaga na kung dapat o hindi dapat mabigyan ng confidential funds ang ating mga national government agency. At kung meron man, depende kung ano po yung magiging resulta ng inquiry na ito, ay mapahigpit natin, yung kung meron man, kung magde-decide later on na may confidential funds pa rin, magde-decide pa rin na magiging mahigpit, yung paggamit ng confidential funds. Okay, so dahil hindi naman po nag-oath yung Vice President, Mr. Chair, ang akin na lang mga tanong ay tatanong ko na lang po sa DBM at saka sa COA. Okay, so inaasahan natin na magsasabi kayo ng totoo. So yung first question ko po sa DBM, yung pong, by the way, I manifest second round kung matatapos ko na yung 5 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Sige po.
Yes. Okay. So nung 2022 po na budget ng Office of the Vice President sa DBM, Mr. Chair, meron po ba ditong nakalagay na line item for confidential funds?
Please address the chair
Mr.
when
Chair,
answering.
Mr. Chair. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Sa DBM po, please, you are Yusek Toledo, you are recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yes, there is no line item for confidential fund, but there is a program that item under that program po na ginagamit po yung confidential fund po.
I'm not satisfied with the answer. Ang tinatanong ko lang po, meron bang line item doon sa budget ng Office of the President na confidential fund? Meron po bang line item po? Yes or no?
There is no, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. How about noong 2023 budget of the Office of the Vice President? Is there a line on about confidential funds?
There is, Mr. Chair, there is a line item for
Magkano po, Mr. Chair, yung confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President for 2023?
500 million, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you're correct. Kasi nandito naman, meron naman tayong ano dyan. Okay, so kung compare natin, Mr. Chair, yung Office of the Vice President budget, GAA 2022 and GAA 2023, so makikita natin agad-agad yung difference. No, na yung confidential funds sa Office of the Vice President noong 2022 ay wala, pero sa Office of the Vice President sa 2023 ay meron. Okay, so paano po nagkaroon ng 125 million na confidential funds ang Office of the Vice President noong 2022, Mr. Chair, sa DBM?
Okay, Mr. Chair, while the OVP has no provision for the confidential funds under the fiscal year 2022 GAA, the said release of funds was charged against the contingent fund using the existing PAP of the Office of the Vice President, which that is the Good Governance Program, Mr. Chair.
Well, ano po yung ibig sabihin ng Good Governance Program po? Kasi defined, alam po natin meron tayong JC o Joint Circular governing confidential funds. So, can you elaborate on good governance, Mr. Chair, yung binabanggit niyo po?
The Good Governance is a program of the OVP, and so that's the basis for us for the release of the confidential plan of the Office of the Vice President, Mr. Chair.
Well, can you elaborate ano ba yung good governance? Dahil malinaw po doon sa rules or the Joint Circular governing confidential funds, yung mga pwede lang napondohan ng confidential funds, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, we have already responded to that inquiry. We have already sent the letter to dated September 11, 2023 as to what is the all about the good governance program of the OVP, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, this representations has no copy of what you are referring to as the good governance programs. May I request for the copy, Mr. Chair?
Please take note of the manifestation of Congressman Castro Comsec. Would you like to respond, Comsec?
Your Honor, as to the part of the committee secretariat, we have not received a document from the Department of Budget Management. We have sent an invitation on September 13. We are not in receipt of a position paper or any document dated September 11, Your Honor. It might be a different committee.
Okay, but just the same, yes, I may respond to the inquiry as far as what is all about the good governance program, particularly the good governance engagement and social services projects. This is in consideration of the urgency of the safe implementation of various projects and activities of the Office of the Vice President across its satellite offices for the last, the conduct of its official engagement and functional representation in international and local events, the implementation of various projects and activities relevant to national security and peace and order, and implementation of the same with proper security and safety protocols for the benefit of the institution, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ma'am, you only have 1 minute.
1 minute.
Please wrap up your...
Okay. So did the Office of the Vice President in 2022 ask for a budget for confidential funds for the DBM?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, for 2022, there is no request for the confidential in the budget, but we have, as mentioned, they have request for the chargeable. We have request for 2022, but that was charged to the contingent fund.
There was a, so may request po ba o wala?
Doon sa proposed budget for 2022, wala po.
Pero saan po kinuha yung 125? Sinasabi nyo kanina, Mr. Chair, ay doon sa contingent fund. So, hindi po ba kapag merong request for a lump sum o merong ibibigay ang yung or pagkukuhanan yung lump sum, dapat may request?
Okay.
So,
Yes, Mr. Chair. So during the implementation of the fiscal year 2022 budget, there was a request coming from the Office of the Vice President to release an additional requirement for the fiscal year 2022 budget. Basically, hindi lang po yung confidential plan, but also for some PS and MOE requirements. Now, this was...
pinag-usapan lang natin yung confidential
Okay.
funds.
So, Mr.
Mr.
Chair, yes, there was a request coming from the Office of the Vice President during the implementation of the budget in that year. So that's why in...
So, Mr. Chair, may cut on that with due respect. So, may I ask, Mr. Chair, the request...
Last
Yes.
question, please.
So, second down na lang ako, Mr. Chair. May I ask the DBM, Mr. Chair, the letter request from the Office of the Vice President. So, yun na lang, Mr. Chair, at itutuloy ko na lang po mamaya.
The DBM is requested to submit the letter of the Honorable Vice President.
yes,
Request
Mr.
letter of
Chair.
the Honorable. Please submit it to the COMSEC.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next to interpellate is Honorable Nika Swansing. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I was just hoping to take this opportunity because COA, the right team from COA is already here. So if I may request the COMSEC, Mr. Chair, in the permission of the Honorable Chairman to pull up some slides on the screen. Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
please.
Mr. Chair, these were the same slides that I presented to the Committee on Appropriations during the deliberation on the budget of the Office of the Vice President 2 weeks ago. For those who were not there in the meeting, a very quick summary, Mr. Chair, in the interest of time. So these, the slides were put together based on the different documents submitted by COA in compliance with the subpoenaed duces tecum and accomplishment report submitted by the Office of the Vice President. And here, Mr. Chair, several things to note. Essentially, we have summarized across the 4 quarters in terms of the disbursement of the confidential expenses of the Office of the Vice President, the different audit findings of the Commission on Audit across the 4 different quarters. So for Q4 2022, which is the subject of the notice of disallowance, it was found that there's a 73 million out of 125 million that was considered by COA as disallowed in audit. And then for the succeeding quarters, accordingly, Mr. Chair, you would see here the proportion of the 125 million, which was questioned in the audit order memorandum and not questioned across the succeeding quarters. During the deliberations of the Office of the Vice President, President's budget, I directed a question towards COA to please enlighten us as to the grounds for the notice of disallowance for Q4 2022 and the 3 succeeding quarters which were subjected to the AOM, Mr. Chair. However, during the OVP budget hearing, the representative of COA, Assistant Commissioner Alexander Juliano, said that he was not privy to the information as he was not part of the team handling the confidential expenses. So, Mr. Chair, I believe the team who did the audit is present in today's hearing. So if we may request, Mr. Chair, COA to please enlighten us for the 4 different quarters covered by the notice of the disallowance and the audit order memorandum, maybe please request, Mr. Chair, COA to please enlighten us as to the ground. So perhaps, Mr. Chair, we can go quarter by quarter. We can first start with Q4 2022, which was the subject of the notice of disallowance.
Any representative from COA?
Mr. Chair, Attorney Gloria Camora, the State Auditor of
Attorney
the FAO,
Camora.
Yes, will answer the question
Attorney
of the
Camora, you are
Honorable
recognized.
Congresswoman.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. As to the 2022 notice of disallowance, there were
Ma'am,
three-
pakilakasan po ninyo yung boses nyo, hindi marinig.
Okay. There were 3 items that are part of the notice of disallowance. The first one is on the non-submission of documents on the payment of rewards. The second one is charging some items that are not compliant under the rules joint circular. And the third one is non-submission of the revised accomplishment report of the office of the VP to the three regulatory offices, which are the Office of the President, the Senate President, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, because what they have submitted was the original one, and they made an amendment, but as of now, they have not resubmitted the amended accomplishment report.
Mr. Chair, if
Please proceed,
COA may
Congresswoman
please
Suarez.
enlighten to explain to us, because it seems a little bit technical po, as to how it was explained by COA. Kung pwede po maipaliwanag po sa atin in non-technical terms as to the grounds for the disallowance po.
COA, pakisimplify po. Please explain it in layman's term.
Yes po. Basically, the disallowances is because hindi po sila nag-submit ng required na documents under the joint circular.
Mr. Chair, if we may move to the next slide.
Please proceed.
ComSec, next slide please. Here, Mr. Chair, shows a breakdown of the different expense items listed in the accomplishment report for Q4 2022 and the 3 succeeding quarters, which were the subject of the AOMs. Mr. Chair, I would like to again throw the question to COA, because it seems to me, I'm not an auditor, so it seems to me that across the 3 succeeding quarters, the categories that were flagged as questioned in the AOM are similar across the 3 succeeding quarters. So, pare-pareho po yung naka-orange po. Payment of reward, yung provision of medical and food aid, at saka po payment of incentives or traveling relative to the confidential operation. So, Mr. Chair, if I may request COA to please enlighten us as to the reason why these categories seem to be repeatedly flagged across the succeeding quarters under audit.
COA.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As to the payment of rewards, the joint circular requires a document, the supporting documents evidencing the success of the information gathering. As far as the documents that they have submitted, we are not so far we are not satisfied with the documents they have submitted, so we ask them to submit the documents that would satisfy the joint circular. As to the provision of food and medical items, again, we ask them for an explanation, since by themselves food and medical aid appears to not fall under the expenses allowed by the joint circular. So we are asking for explanation on those items. And then it's the same with traveling expenses, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, I'll move to my final slide.
You still have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Clarificatory question sa Mr. Chair, kasi at least nandito na ba yung team sa COA. Last slide, please, ComSec. Here, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask COA, because very interestingly po, isa po sa mga napansin natin is the length of disbursement for the 125 million across the different quarters po. Meron po ba na information yung COA as to how how the disbursements were done in terms of the speed by which the disbursements were done? Like for example po, the 125 million in December were spent in 11 days as opposed to in Q3 2023 po, wherein it was spent in 79 days. So kasi po, one thing that we can see as well in the previous slide is regardless of the length of the disbursement or the speed of the disbursement or the areas of surveillance, if you can move to the previous slide, ComSec. Ito po, the numbers of areas under surveillance are different. And the speed of the disbursement is different as well. But it seems like the expenditure patterns are very similar po across categories and across the different quarters. So, meron po bang nakita yung COA with regards to that po, Mr. Chair?
Please wrap up your questions. Pakisagot na lang po. Tapos na po kayo.
Mr. Chair, since we were given the data on the areas and they have also submitted the evidences of payments, we did not conduct a study on the speed by which the frequency of the payments, as long as we were satisfied with the number of areas that they have served. So if we can average it based on that, the number of areas, I think it is possible to be spending the set amounts.
Mr. Chair, final question na lang
Okay,
po.
last question.
Because the AOMs were issued po in February 1, 2024 for the first AOM, and then the second AOM po on August 8, 2024. Reading through the AOMs po, the Office of the Vice President is given 15 days to respond to the AOMs. I believe the first one has been responded to in April. So meron na po bang response doon po sa August 8 na AOM?
Yes, Madam Chair, they have submitted their reply to the AOMs, and the audit is on the compliance is ongoing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Those are my clarificatory questions po. Clarification because the team handling the audit is now here. So just wanted to clarify po dun po sa slides na present po nung nakalaang OVP budget hearing. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
May I approach the table? Request a 1-minute suspension.
The chair declares 1 minute suspension. Session resumes.
Mr. Chair, may I
The
request?
Honorable Vice President is recognized.
Thank you. May I request to leave the inquiry?
Ma'am, pwede naman po, considering na hindi naman din po kayo naka-oath and alam naman po namin, marami rin po kayong ginagawa. The Vice President is excused.
Thank you.
Thank you po,
Thank you,
ma'am.
everyone. Good morning.
1 minute suspension is declared by the chair.
Wala. Hindi naman kasi kami talaga nagkausap niyan. Hindi kami magkaibigan. Unang-una, nagkakilala lang kami dahil naging running mate kami. So, bago pa man kami naging running mates, hindi na kami nag-uusap. Nagkausap lang kami during campaign at dahil sa trabaho noon, running mates.
Pero ma'am, kailan po yung last na
Ang kaibigan ko talaga si Senator Amy Marcos. Kilala niya ako since 2015.
Pero ma'am, kailan po yung naging last na pag-uusap na po ng committee?
Nung nag-tender ako ng resignation, yun yung last na nagkausap kami ni President.
Ma'am, do you think kung si President Marcos magsalita para